Welcome, everyone. I hear a lot of yawns. That's very normal at this time of the year. If you're not yawning, that's a problem. We are holding in the fourth parak with Mishna Vav and Mishna Zayin. I'd like to ask everybody to learn today for Nachman Chapler. Tomorrow he's going for an important test and evaluation in Colombia for his ability to swallow better. So it's Nachman Yaakov ben Sarah. He should have a refuah shalema b'sech shachar Yisrael. We're also sponsored by the Fisher family, Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbi Shalom ben Avram Alevi, Perel Bas Ruben. Also, Nishmas David ben Chaim, Refuah Shalem Fel Yomis Mechai Sari Yaakov ben Basi Aleya, Schus of Avram ben Yom ben Ishmael Yudis and family, by Yol Klugman and family, and Refuah Shalem from Moshe Meir ben Esther Fadel, Rivka Bas Shir Aleya, Dvar Bas Shashabina, Meir ben Chaya Sarah, Avigdor Aryeh ben Rivka. They should have a refuah shalema b'sei shechel Yisrael. Now we know that when food stuff is moistened, it's mekabel tumah. If it's moistened by any of the 7 official liquids, it's mekabel tumah. But one of the conditions is that you have to want that liquid to moisten it. If you're not nicha, if you don't want the liquid to moisten it, then it's not machshirit l'kabel tumah. So our case is chavius shel zeisim megulgalim. You have a barrel with salted olives that are being pickled, salted olives. Now some juice comes out of the olive. Now if you want it to be moistened, then it would be susceptible to contamination. Beis Shammai says you don't even have to make a hole in the vessel to show that you don't want the juice. We assume that you don't want your salted olives to have juice on them. Beis Hillel says, no, we can't assume that. The only time it won't be machshir l'kabel tumah is tzarich l'nakev. You have to perforate the container. If you perforate the container, so we see that you don't want the juice because you don't care if it drains out. But Beis Hillel agrees, she'im nikva, if you did perforate the barrel, even if it gets sealed off, the perforation gets sealed off by sediment, and you didn't open it up again, she taira, because the very fact that you made the hole shows that you don't want the liquid, you're not nicha with the liquid, and since you're not nicha with the liquid, it's not machshir l'kabel tumah. Now, the next case is a different case. Hasak b'shemen tahar. Let's say Yaakov anoints himself with tar dika oil, v'nitma, and a sheretz touches the oil that's on him, and it becomes tameh. Now he goes to the mikveh, yared v'tavel. If he immerses himself, the question is, the oil that's on him, is it bottle, is it tuffle to his body, and then the oil would become tar too. Beis Shammai even if he's dripping oil, the oil on him, tar, becomes tar. Beis Hillel says the only time that oil is negligible and it's bottled to him is only kedei sichas eiver katan. It's only if there's only the amount enough to anoint a tinnik ben yoimai, a child born that day, his smallest toe. If it's more than that, then that oil is not bottled to him, and that oil remains tameh. Oh, this is worse. If the oil was tameh when he anointed him with it, when Yaakov anointed himself with it, so that has a higher level of separation, so to speak. So then Beis Shammai says it's only bottled to him if it's kedei sichas eiver katan. If it's a small amount, only enough to anoint the little toe of a newborn baby. Beis Hillel says it's going to be bottled to him if it's just mashke teifeach. If it's just liquid that's a little moist on his body. Rabbi Yehuda, even if it's tofeach umatfiach, even if it's moist enough that something that touches it could moisten something else, but if it's not a collectible amount, it's going to be bottled to him, and then it's going to be tar. Now, moving on, this is Idiyos. Moving on to an entirely different subject. Ha'isha miskadeses b'dino b'shavadina. Beis Shammai wants more than a pruta. Beis Shammai says you could only be mekadesh an isha for a dinner or the value of a dinner. Bales of cotton, the value of a dinner. K'divrei Beis Shammai, Beis Shammai b'pruta, it's enough a pruta or b'shava pruta. Now, how much is a pruta? V'kami pruta. Echad mishmayne b'isser italki, an eighth of an Italian isser. Now, what happens if somebody writes a get, and then, after he writes the get, he's alone with his wife, spent the night with her, alone with his wife? That's called a get yashin. Now it's a old get. Can you use that get? So, Beis Shammai paituris ishta beget yashin. He could send his wife away with a get yashin. Well, Beis Hillel Eiser. Beis Hillel's, you know what Beis Hillel's worried about? Beis Hillel's worried that they wrote the get with that date, and then he slept with her, and maybe she became pregnant. If you then give the get, when they look at the date of the get and see when the baby is born, they'll say that the baby was conceived out of wedlock, and people won't want to marry the child. They'll say it's a pogrom. So therefore, Beis Hillel doesn't want to do that. Eizel get yashin. What's a get yashin? Kol shediyasyachadima, if he was alone with her, achar shekvasavula, after it was written and dated. Now, new case. Hamagarish is ishtay. Chatzkel divorces his wife, Suri. He divorces her. And then, the next night, he spends the night with her in room 208 of the Holiday Inn. Now the question is, did he sleep with her? And if he slept with her, so since people don't want to have a bias nus, when he slept with her, he had in mind to do it l'shem kedushin. So then he would need another get. So Amagarish is ishtoi velani may bepundiki. Now we're going to learn, like Rav learns over here, that Adam didn't see them sleep together. They were just alone in the room. Beis Shammai says you don't need another get, because we're not chayshish that they had bia l'shem kedushin. Either we're not chayshish that they had bia at all, or even if he had bia, we don't say that he's not going to be bia l'snus and he had bia l'shem kedushin. So either way, there's no need for another get. Well, Beis Hillel says that we assume, since they were married, if they were alone, we assume that they were together. And since a person doesn't have bilas nus, we assume that they have bia b'shem kedushin. So therefore, if she wants to remarry, she needs another get. She needs a second get. Masai. When do we assume that they had bia? Bizman sheniskarshim in an isuin. When he divorced her after they were married. So he's already intimate with her. Avalim niskarshim in an erisin, but it was only a divorce after betrothal. So they were never intimate before. Now we don't assume just because they were alone they were intimate, because he's not so familiar with her. Ain't it tzrichim imenu get sheni, even according to Beis Hillel. Mipnei she'ein li by gaspa. He's not intimate with her, he's not bold with her, and then we don't assume automatically that they had bia, and then maybe it's a svek seika, maybe they didn't have bia, and even if they did have bia, it wasn't l'shem kedushin, then even Beis Hillel is maida that a get is not necessary. I just want to say that tonight we'll have the daf at 8:15, followed by a Haggadah shir at whenever, and probably about 9:10. And remember, this Shabbos, we have two Shabbos Haggadah drashas. We have a Shabbos Haggadah drasha for the women at 5:30, followed by Mishna Yomis, followed by Mincha, followed by the Shabbos HaGadol Drasha for the men, so there's no Shalashudas in Shul. Men have to eat Shalashudas early, and we thank you very much for joining us, and of course after Ma'ariv I will do Mechiras Chametz.